The holograms flickered across the grand chamber of the Varelli's array, dancing between the representatives of 47 star systems. Ambassador Ray Solon stood motionless at the center, her earth-blue uniform a stark contrast against the ornate golds and silvers worn by the Galactic Council members. The chamber, a spectacular achievement of engineering that floated at the nexus of 7 major trade routes, hummed with quiet anticipation. The humanitarian accord, Ray said, her voice calm, but carrying to every corner of the vast space, offers autonomous recovery and self-determination to worlds abandoned after the cold expansion. Her hands moved through the projection controls, showcasing images of Earth vessels delivering medical equipment, agricultural drones, and educational technology to war-torn planets at the galaxy's fringes. The Terran diplomat was the last of her kind here, Earth's final voice in a council that had systematically dismantled human influence over centuries. What remained of Earth's once promising interstellar reach was now reduced to humanitarian missions, carefully monitored and restricted by council oversight. "We request nothing but clearance," she continued, her dark eyes scanning the assembled delegates. "These worlds suffer while we debate. They need medicine, not politics." From the upper tier, a shadow detached itself. AEM Vassal, Supreme Commander of the Council's Enforcement Division, leaned forward. His species' natural iridescence shimmered with controlled aggression. "Ambassador Solon's performance is commendable." Vassal's voice dripped with patronization. "But we must address the expansion of Terran influence disguised as charity. Their ships enter strategic systems, delivering not just medicine but cultural propaganda. Their teachers speak of Earth ideology. Their engineers map our defense systems under the guise of rebuilding infrastructure." Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Ray's expression remained unchanged, though her fingers tightened imperceptibly around her datapad. "Request denied," Vassal concluded. "The Council will authorize its own relief efforts." Ray stepped forward. "Supreme Commander, with respect, your relief convoys haven't reached Seritin in 3 years. Althea Prime has been waiting for promised vaccines for." "The discussion is concluded, Ambassador." Ray paused, then nodded once. "Then I request the Council witness what Earth's propaganda looks like." She activated a live feed. The UN Alandra, an Earth medical frigate, appeared on screen. The ship was massive but clearly unarmed, its hull emblazoned with the green cross of the Terran Medical Corps. Hundreds of medical containers were visible through its transparent cargo bays. The Alandra carries treatments for Cygni fever to the Althean system. 17 million children will die without it. And what else does it carry? Vassal countered. "Your government." A flash erupted across the screen. Council vessels, bearing official markings, had appeared around the Alandra. Without warning or hail, they opened fire. The chamber fell silent. The Alandra's shields held for 9 seconds before collapsing. The ship broke apart, spilling its medical cargo into the void. No escape pods launched. "For 1,000 medical staff," Ray said, her voice hollow. 200 doctors. 3,000 children's hospitals worth of equipment. No one spoke. The representatives from the outer systems looked away in shame. The core systems delegates studied their consoles with sudden interest. Ray shut down her presentation. She collected her datapad with methodical precision and walked toward the exit. Not a word of protest, not a single denunciation. At the grand doors, she paused and turned slightly. "If this is how you answer peace," she said, just loud enough to be heard. Then she was gone. 3 days later, as her ship prepared to return to Earth, Ray Solon sent a single, unencrypted message across all Council frequencies. "If this is how you answer peace." She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. 6 months crawled by. The Council continued its deliberations on 100 matters of galactic importance. Trade routes were adjusted. Minor border disputes were resolved. A new species was admitted to observer status. No one mentioned Earth. No one spoke of the Alandra. Then the reports began. On Althea Prime, 3 Council tax collection ships were found adrift, their engines disabled by a virus that had bypassed military-grade security. On Seritin, a council military outpost awoke to find black flags flying from every administrative building. The simple message, "You'll regret this war," emblazoned in white. In the Cygnus system, agricultural satellites suddenly changed orbit, causing momentary panic before resuming their functions. Inspections found nothing amiss, but planetary authorities reported strange data fluctuations they couldn't explain. Isolated incidents, Supreme Commander Vassal assured the council. Discontented locals. Nothing more. 3 weeks later, a council garrison on Tellus 4 was wiped out. No weapons were fired. The barracks simply collapsed into sinkholes that hadn't appeared on any geological survey. 2,000 troops lost in 7 minutes. Vassal demanded answers. The council turned to Earth. Earth sent nothing. Said nothing. No transmissions left the Sol system. But the black flags kept appearing. Ray Solon stood at the window of the Terran Defense Ministry, staring out at the rebuilt skyline of New Geneva. Behind her, General Emmer Hale manipulated a holographic display showing real-time movements across 50 star systems. Directive Dusk is fully operational, Hale said. She was a compact woman with gray-streaked hair and eyes that had seen 3 interstellar conflicts. Every humanitarian mission we've conducted in the last 20 years is now bearing fruit. Ray turned from the window. Show me. The display shifted, highlighting dots of light across the galactic map. Every agricultural satellite we've deployed has dormant, offensive capabilities, Hale explained. Every teacher we sent carried cultural packages, yes, but also military training. Every doctor treated patients while mapping strategic locations. And they're responding? They're more than responding. Hale's face showed a grim satisfaction. Those we helped remember who was there when the council wasn't. Those we educated understand what's at stake. Those we healed are willing to fight. Ray moved to a console and brought up footage from a dozen worlds. People of different species, physiologies, and cultures were mobilizing, not as formal armies, but as something more dangerous, a decentralized resistance with no central command for the council to target. What about Lara's systems? Ray asked. Online, as of yesterday. Hale gestured and a new display appeared. Technical schematics for thousands of civilian drones being remotely reprogrammed. Every mining drone, every construction bot, every educational terminal we've distributed is now receiving new instructions. Ray nodded. And the final transmission? Ready when you are. She took a moment to consider what they were about to do. Earth had spent centuries rebuilding after the last colonial war, reinventing itself as a humanitarian power rather than a military one. The Council had been content to let Earth play nursemaid to the galaxy's forgotten corners while the wealthy core systems prospered. Send it, she said finally. The message was brief. No threats, no ultimatums, just Ray's face and a simple statement. No banners, no warnings, just consequences. The Council's Supreme Fleet surrounded Althea Prime. 200 warships, the finest in the galactic arsenal, deployed in textbook formation. Their mission was simple. Make an example of one world to quell the growing rebellion. Supreme Commander Vassal watched from his flagship as the invasion force landed. 20,000 troops, heavy armor, air support, enough firepower to subjugate a dozen planets. They met no resistance. See, his adjutant said, these primitives know better than to fight. Vassal wasn't convinced. Maintain combat readiness. Something isn't right. The troops established a perimeter and began constructing forward operating bases. Engineers deployed prefabricated structures. Medical units prepared field hospitals. Command posts established communications networks. Everything proceeded according to protocol. 3 days passed. Then the ground began to shake. Across all landing zones, across all forward bases, the seemingly solid earth crumbled. What appeared to be natural terrain was revealed as carefully constructed shells concealing massive excavations beneath. Entire battalions disappeared into engineered sinkholes. Tanks and armored carriers toppled into crevasses that hadn't existed moments before. Simultaneously, the supposedly primitive local communication network activated with military precision. Every mining drone, agricultural bot, and construction machine, technology provided by Earth years earlier, converged on council positions. Vassals stared in disbelief at the tactical displays. The locals hadn't built an army. They'd weaponized their entire infrastructure. All units retreat. Get back to orbit, he commanded. But it was too late. His ground forces were in chaos. The orbital fleet fared no better as dormant satellites suddenly changed trajectory, turning themselves into kinetic weapons that accelerated toward council vessels. On his command view screen, a face appeared. Ray Solon looked at him with the same expressionless calm she'd shown in the council chamber. "We offered peace," she said. "You answered with fire. So now, feel what you've taught the galaxy." The transmission cut. Vassal had just enough time to order emergency protocols before 3 agricultural platforms, gifts from Earth, decades ago, detonated nuclear payloads hidden in their cores. The Supreme Fleet ceased to exist. The rebellion spread like fire through dry grass. System after system went dark to council communications. Trade routes became hazardous as civilian vessels refused to acknowledge council authority. Core worlds that had relied on resources from the outer systems found their supplies interrupted. In emergency session, the council representatives looked at a galactic map that showed their influence rapidly shrinking. 40% of systems were now marked in gray, non-responsive or openly defiant. "How could this happen?" demanded the Centaurian ambassador. "Earth has no military presence beyond its home system." No one answered directly. They all knew. Every act of charity, every humanitarian mission, every educational initiative from Earth had carried within it the seeds of this moment. The chamber doors opened. A hologram of Ray Solon appeared at the center of the room. Not transmitted from Earth, but from somewhere within the Varelli's array itself, their most secure facility. "You wanted peace to kneel," she said simply. "Now it marches." Then she was gone, leaving only a black flag hovering in the air, emblazoned with white text. "You'll regret this war." Years passed. The galactic order reorganized. The council still existed, but its power was diluted, shared now with regional authorities and a new coalition of worlds that had risen from the ashes of rebellion. Earth never sought to replace the council. It simply ensured the council could never again be the sole arbiter of galactic policy. On 1,000 worlds, in government buildings and schools and hospitals, a simple black flag hung alongside other symbols of authority. A reminder. And somewhere in the void between stars, an ancient satellite, technology so old that modern sensors barely registered it, continued broadcasting on all frequencies a message that had become both warning and promise throughout civilized space. Last transmission from Earth. You'll regret this war. Children across the galaxy learned its meaning in their history lessons. Peace cannot be begged for. It must be defended. The weak do not exist, only the forgotten. And the forgotten, when united, are the most dangerous force in the universe. In the grand chamber of the new galactic cooperative, where representatives of all systems now met as equals, the Earth seat remained symbolic, occupied by whoever needed it most, whoever came seeking justice that might otherwise be denied. And behind that seat hung a simple plaque with the words that had changed the course of history. "If this is how you answer peace, you'll regret this war."